Hello, this is Andy with the Master of General Knowledge podcast. Thanks for joining me. Today we're on the book review series, and I recently finished a book titled License to Kill, Hired Guns in the War on Terror. It was written by Robert Young Pelton. It was published in 2006 by Adventurous Corp. From the back cover of the book, I'll read a little bit about the author, and give you a little understanding of his expertise and his credentials. Robert Young Pelton is a journalist, filmmaker, and explorer. He is the author of The World's Most Dangerous Places, Come Back Alive, The Adventurist, and Three Worlds Gone Mad. Pelton has worked for National Geographic, Discovery, 60 Minutes, the ABC Investigative Division, and CNN. He's also a contributing editor and columnist for National Geographic Adventure. You can visit him at www.comebackalive.com. So the book, License to Kill, Hired Guns in the War on Terror, I picked up from my local library, and I was interested to learn about the private contracting world of security, being private individuals being hired as security by governments, the U.S. government, other governments, dictatorships, and going to places to provide, I guess, a quasi-military type of presence. I hear about it in the news. I read about it. I heard the word contractor and Blackwater. And obviously there's been some major events regarding these groups, these private corporations that are paid millions and actually billions of dollars by governments to come in with weaponry and violence and defensive tactics to protect individuals or resources. So I'm going to read the front cover of the book that describes what goes on in his writing. And then we'll get into a little discussion on this review of what it meant to me and what I felt that I got from the book. So here we go. From the inside cover of the book, License to Kill, Robert Young Pelton first became aware of the phenomenon of hired guns in the War on Terror when he met a covert team of contractors on the Afghanistan-Pakistan border in the fall of 2003. Pelton soon embarked on a globe-spanning odyssey to penetrate and understand this shadowy world, ultimately delivering stunning insights into the way private soldiers are used. Enter a blood-soaked world of South African mercenaries and tribal fighters backed by ruthless financiers. Drop into Baghdad's green zone, strap on body armor, and take a daily high-speed ride with a doomed crew of security contractors who dodge car bombs and snipers just to get their charges to the airport. Share a drink in a chic hotel bar with wealthy owners of private armies who debate the best way to stay alive in war zones. License to Kill spans 4 continents and 3 years, taking us inside the CIA's dirty wars, the brutal contractor murders in Fallujah, and the Alamo-like sieges in Najaf and Al-Qut. The Deep South contractor training camps, where the ex-special operations soldiers and even small-town cops learn the ropes, the contractor conventions where macho attendees swap bullet-punctuated tales and discuss upcoming gigs, and the grim Central African prison where contractors turned failed mercenaries pay a steep price. The United States has encouraged the use of the private sector in all facets of the war on terror, placing contractors outside the bounds of functional legal constraints. With the shocking clarity that come only from first-hand observations, License to Kill painstakingly deconstructs the most controversial events and introduces the pivotal players. Most disturbingly, it shows that there are indeed thousands of contractors, with hundreds more being produced every month, who've been given a license to kill, their services available to the highest bidder. So there we have it, a story on private individuals, independent contractors, working for the US government and other governments around the world, highly armed, highly trained, and ostensibly working in the benefit of some group or business or people. I got a lot from the book. It reads well. He does a great job, the author does, of documenting where his information is coming from and how he got to where he did with his contacts. He's obviously well established and well liked and amongst this area of international work. When I read the paper or I listen to the news, I hear Blackwater, I hear contractors, I hear about these people, but I'm somewhat removed, being here in my little studio, my room here. It's sort of just reading, and I didn't understand what it all meant. License to Kill really will walk you through the terminology, the groups, which seem to be ever-changing, corporations popping up, players coming and going into this field. And so you get to know some of the players. And specifically, he does spend time with these individual contractors, which are just people in our society. Mostly those who were in the military at some point, or current policemen or retired police, people that have training with guns and weapons and are familiar with high-stress situations, are the ones that get recruited by many of these American companies, and they go, as the jacket of the book said, the Deep South, in South Carolina, Virginia, I think, Texas, and training camps where they do military-style training. And basically, a private corporation is creating a de facto military team under the guise of being a protective service or a defensive tool for government entities and corporations and the like, fighting the war on terror against warlords and insurgents. And obviously, there's always two sides to these stories. There's the people that have the power and the people that are trying to get the power. And that seems to be very flexible in some of these, especially these Middle Eastern or tribal, African nations. And so the author, brings us along and explains, both the independent contractor and then how they become, into these foreign lands at the hands of an American business, providing this type of security. So back to the individual, these independent contractors are making, $500 to $1,000 a day, risking their lives. But out of that, they have to pay taxes, and they're basically, as any independent contractor is, they're not really an employee of these companies, as I understand it, and they're not directly working for the United States. This happens through a whole series of contracted steps that isolate, formal entities from exposure with men on the ground with guns. So the book covers all those players, from the individuals and their life, let's say American citizens who go on a 90-day tour to Afghanistan, providing security, shooting people, being shot at, and then coming home and heading down to the local market or the school grounds with their kids. The mindset gives us a little mindset in some of those people who are able to easily do that transfer. This is their work and this is their life. And it also gets it like the PSTD a little bit that some of these individuals have that make it difficult to function in society. So they go back to these war zones as private individuals and contract themselves out. So that's it. This book really will lay out for you some of this basics. It is a little old. It's 2006, so that's a while ago. I'm sure things have changed. I'll probably find some more books to read. But definitely, it's worth the read. It reads well. You have to follow through a lot of acronyms, but there's a good glossary. And at the end, I kind of picked up a question, and it was a conversation I had with a young person recently. If there was, the United States began to have difficulties in its governance and its financial situation, who would get power? In the military, usually that's the saving entity that keeps the peace. But now we have thousands and thousands of what would be called, in other terms, mercenaries who are well armed, well equipped and used to killing people without, much moral concern. And so that kind of brings me to the question is, what role will these people play within our society should we have, a breakdown in our social norms? But that's a question that we all have to answer to ourselves. I do recommend this book, and I think you'll find it very informative, and it will give you a much better understanding when you hear the news and the words mercenary, terrorists, and these independent contractor security forces. So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and I hope you enjoy the book if you get the chance to read it. Remember, visit us on the web, www.masterofgeneralknowledge.com. Thank you.